What's up, boys? Okay, so to the shock and to the surprise of absolutely no one, SGA is your 2025 NBA regular season MVP. Now, I think a lot of people knew this and disagreed with it. So, from what I've heard from people online to talking to people that I know, to talking to my friends and family, the consensus was that Nikola Jokic should have won the MVP this year. A lot of people were rooting for him to win MVP, but they were thinking that SGA was probably going to get it. Now, I don't necessarily disagree with this statement in the sense that I feel like Jokic had a phenomenal season. Okay, obviously, averaging a triple double, 30 points, 13 rebounds, and 10 assists. I mean, unreal numbers from Nikola Jokic, averaging a triple double, and I feel like that's what practically won Russell Westbrook MVP over James Harden that one year. Is just the enamor of how many triple doubles he had, averaging a triple double. Obviously now it doesn't just win you an MVP. More people are doing it. Even Russell, I think, had a couple more seasons averaging a triple double, and he wouldn't win MVP. SGA, he had good numbers too. 33 points per game, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, almost 7 assists per game. I think the reason SGA won this, I think part of it is voter fatigue. You know, Jokic has won it 3 times now, and it's not necessarily to look at it at this season. Jokic played better. You keep it in your mind that Jokic, okay, he's won it 3 times already. If he wins this 4th one, basically you have to do this much. You have to have the number 1 seed. You have to average triple double. You have to shoot 60% from the field. Then you can get your 4th, because that's a big honor. And I feel like you shouldn't judge it that way, but that's definitely what is subconsciously or consciously in going through your head when making a vote for MVP, because that would be his 4th one. And I feel like that is definitely part of the reason. Again, subconscious or consciously, part of the reason why Jokic didn't win this year, the MVP award. And then also it's because the Thunder were the best team all year long. A very historically good team. One of the best records in the regular season. And just point differential, I think, was one of the best ever, if not the best. Let me know if I got that wrong. But yeah, they were really good. They were the better team, obviously. The number 1 seed in the West in the whole NBA, while the Nuggets were 4th in the West, and then in the whole league they're 7th, top 10 or something like that. So I think that's another big part of it. And then I think there's a slight part of it that is the fact that the Thunder just beat the Nuggets in the playoffs. And I know you're not supposed to count that, but I think that does weigh in, again, like the voter fatigue. Subconsciously or consciously, that does weigh in on the voters. Especially since SGA had a great Game 7 compared to Nikola Jokic, who had 29 and 7, was okay. SGA with 35 points, and they won in convincing fashion in Game 7. I feel like that's part of it too. So that's my take on it. Who do I think should have won it? Honestly, it depends how you're judging it. The way voters vote for the NBA MVP every season, I always feel like they give too much or put too much emphasis on the team with the best records. Because yeah, I feel like that's important and all, but at the same time, who is the most valuable player? And not necessarily valuable to the team, because I know people would make the argument if Nikola Jokic was taken off the Nuggets, they would be a very mid team, if not a bad team. If you took SGA off the Thunder, they would still be a great team. Not only do I disagree with that, but let's just say the premise is true. I disagree with that because we saw in a couple of games in these playoffs against the Clippers or against the Thunder where Jokic didn't have great games and the Nuggets would still win. But anyway, back to the point. Let's assume that premise is true. I don't think you should value MVP and value that way. I think most valuable should mean who was the best player overall. It shouldn't be, if you're taking off your team, will they be good? Will they be bad? Because you can make then the cases for people like Victor Wembanyama, who When he was on the Spurs, they were a fringe play-in team. When he was taken off, when it's a full tank. We're not one of the worst teams in the West. You say that for like Cade Cunningham, who, if he was taken off the Pistons, would they wouldn't have made the playoffs, I don't believe. They would have been another bottom team in the East. I don't think you could base it off that. I think you should base it off who had the better season, regardless of how important they are to the team. I feel like people usually do that where they're like, they value the player as who's the most valuable to their team. I think it should be who's most valuable to the league. Who was the better player this year, Nikola Jokic or SGA? I would probably lean towards Jokic. If I'm a voter, I'm voting that way, and like 75% of my vote goes to who had the better season. And then the other 25% is like things like how good their team did. If they were taking off the team, would they be all right? You could do things like that. But I feel like most of it comes down to who had the better season. Jokic had a historic season in a lot of ways, but SGA was really good too. And I don't want to take anything away from SGA because it's well-deserved. Had a great season. It led the Thunder to the best record in the NBA, a historically dominant team, regular season team the Thunder were. So, I'm not completely mad at it. I was low-key rooting for SGA to win MVP just because I didn't want Jokic to win a fourth, I'm going to be honest. But without any bias, I think Jokic probably would have gotten my vote slightly, but I am not mad at all that SGA got it. And not just because of my bias, but because he had a phenomenal season. So that's my take on it. Let me know down below if you think SGA should have won, if you think Jokic should have won. Did you think SGA was going to win? Did you think Jokic had a chance? Do you think Jokic will have another chance at getting MVP? Let me know down below.